I wish you luck in realizing your ambition.
Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello and welcome back to Everything Possible in Elden Ring. Last time we visited more tunnels, we fought our very first Erdtree avatar, and we explored Tombsward catacombs. Today, we have even more Tombsward locations, plus more ruins, another Everjail, and our very first wandering mausoleum. But first, we do have a couple of things to talk about. Number one, since the last episode is aired, patch 1.09 has come out, and it is a massive balancing patch both for PvP and PvE. If you haven't taken a look at those patch notes or played since then, I highly encourage you to read through those notes and do a little bit of testing. There are quite a few really great changes. Now, the Roar Medallion is probably one of my favorite changes because the Roar Medallion now correctly impacts other things other than just items with Roar in the title, including Dragon Breath incantations. It'll increase those by 10%, and there's a whole host of others. I will put the patch notes in the description below. Now, before we go out on our merry way, let's go ahead and take a look at my stats. I have leveled up 2 times. If you want to see those stats any closer, just pause the video now. As for gear, I'll be using the Guardian Sword Spirit, the dagger with the Golden Vow skill. I will be swapping that out with the longbow a couple of times. The Eclipse Crest Heater Shield that we picked up last time, the Finger Seal, and I did take some time, took me only about 30 minutes or so to farm for the entire Guardian set. You can see here that I have the chest, the bracers, and the greaves. I do have the helmet, and while it looks absolutely amazing, it unfortunately puts me into heavy load, so that is not going to be happening today. I'm wearing the Green Turtle Talisman, that will be changing here pretty quickly, and then just some standard consumables, including a Rancor Pot and Immunizing Cured Meat, although I'm not going to be using this particular Cured Meat. I'm going to be picking up another one pretty soon, but I want this as a standby so we can talk about the differences. So the first location that we want to go to is actually just directly kind of to the west of us. We want to go to this ruin right here, but I'm actually going to make quite the trek all the way down towards the beach, and I want to go to a merchant. That merchant is going to sell an item that is very, very useful, not just early on, but pretty much always, because it's going to allow us to see a lot better in darkened areas. And you can absolutely rush here very quickly at the start of the game. Now, one thing that I meant to do was two-hand this item, because you can't two-hand once you are on torrent. There we go. But this little field right here is absolutely chock full of sheep. So if you need to make some arrows, this is a fantastic place to farm them. You also have a couple of turtles. I am going to farm some of these on the way down. And of course, we took a look at the Wandering Mausoleum. We are going to be bringing that down to its feet in a little while and talking about exactly what that can do for you. It's not going to be doing anything for us for a while, but that is a-okay. Let's just grab all of these. Hey, even got a budding horn. We won't be able to use these for quite some time, but once we do get the correct cookbook, we can use the budding horn to create dappled cured meat and dappled white cured meat. Fairly uncommon drop there. Might as well grab a few more. And of course, any golden skulls along the way. And I could have just warped to the site of grace that's kind of over to our left over here, but might as well take this time because I do want to be crafting more arrows. Right. I think what we'll do is I will just kill just a couple more. There we go. And then we will beeline to the merchant. I will have to be using some of our hard runes in order to purchase all the things that I want. Hopefully I have enough. Normally what I do is I take care of the ruins in some of the caves before we go here, but I think this will make things a little bit easier for you to see. There's a Wandering Mausoleum surrounded by these really cool mausoleum ghosts. These mausoleum ghosts, they are, even though they look rather ethereal, they are something that can kill you or you can kill them. They do have a few drops. They will drop pretty much all the same items as the Godric soldiers will drop. You can get the Lordstone Straight Sword, the Brass Shield. Their armor, however, is unique to those enemies, and they don't contain a helm. And once we get a little bit closer, maybe you can deduce why that is, why they don't drop a helmet. But here we have it. We have another site of grace and a nomadic merchant. Let us grab this and let's go talk to the merchant. Now, all the items that I want are going to cost a total of 20,600 runes. It's quite a bit.
Well, It's been an age since I've seen a customer. How can I help here at the end of the earth?
But we should be able to do most, if not all, that just with the consumable runes that we have. So that's 6,400. I'm just going to keep using all of them. And looks like that ought to do it. That was probably a little bit overkill. And look, I still have some to spare. And we want to buy, first off, the lantern. While its light is dimmer than that of a torch, it has the advantage of freeing up the user's hand. So very similar to the hand lantern that you pick up in Bloodborne. You can put this on your hotbar, you can put it in your pouch, or just keep it in your inventory and activate it that way. And as long as it's activated, it will produce some light around the character, so you don't have to hold a torch. This is going to prove to be invaluable. Now, if you die, or if you leave an area, if you zone out using the fast travel or any waygate, this will deactivate and you'll have to reactivate it. You also have some more Festering Bloody Fingers. You have 5 of them if you want to do any sort of PvP. You do have 5 Arteria Leaves, 3 Smithing Stones level 2, certainly going to buy all of those, 3 Stone Sword Keys at only 2,000 apiece. Anytime I find the Stone Sword Keys available for only 2,000, I will buy all of those. Then we have a Lost Ash of War, empty Ashes of War, devoid of any memories of battle. If you remember when we were at Roundtable Hold and we were talking to Blacksmith Hugh, there was an option to duplicate Ashes of War using this consumable item, the Lost Ashes of War. Now, you can't take one off of an existing weapon. You do have to have this specific Ash of War available to duplicate, but we will certainly pick that up. And then, of course, a fan favorite, the Zweihander. It is here, it is back, it is available for purchase for 3,500 runes. We will pick that up. I absolutely want to grab the note about the Wandering Mausoleum. This will give you a hint as to how to bring them down. And we do have a number of these ballista bolts, and I do want to grab all of these because they're a lot of fun, and I do hope to incorporate that at some time. So I could purchase a little bit more. I could buy an Arteria Leaf, but I think we'll actually leave it at that. He does sell some more sacrificial twigs. If you remember, they go in your talisman slot, and this prevents rune loss on death. Arrows, great arrows, and bolts will round out his assortment.
Have a safe journey.
That was a lot of runes we just spent. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the prattling paint hello and put on the lantern, and this is what it looks like when you turn it on. It's very, very useful, and we'll be using this pretty much all the time going forward, even if I'm just riding along in the countryside, just because it'll brighten it up ever so slightly. Now I'm actually going to just fast travel all the way back to the Church of Pilgrimage so we can start our trek this way. Right, let's go ahead and hop on Torrent. And we will have a couple of skeletons here. We can actually just completely ignore them. See if we can't get either or both of these eagles. Well, I got him. Not that it's going to do me any good. We actually got lucky and got a 4-toed Foulfoot. If you remember from the eagles, that is pretty uncommon. It's a lot more common from the Guillemots, which we do have a lot of them down here on the beach. But as we make our way towards the first ruin, we do have a few wolf packs. Luckily, with the weapon that we have, as long as we're two-handing it, we can make very quick work of them. And still get some more thin beast bones, which is great. There's a Guillemot. I'm not going to waste this opportunity. Try and get some more foul feet. Now, Flight Pinion works as well. So this first ruin that we're coming up on is very small, very tiny, but just like any named ruin, it does have a basement. This basement is going to have some different enemy type that we've seen so far, with some pretty unique loot available too. We'll see if we don't get a little bit lucky. But I do want to take care of these wolves because they could follow us potentially all the way to the ruin, which is straight ahead. There we go. More thin beast bones, great. Now, surrounding these ruins, there's just a handful of rats, so you can summon here. It is available, however, we really shouldn't need it. Let's just head up here, take care of all these rats. There's one. There's a second one feeding on this corpse right here. Tombsword Ruins. Like I said, more Tombsword locations. Here is the third and final rat. There we have it. And on this corpse, we get the beast liver. And over here, we have 5 Trina's lilies. Perfect. Now before we head down though, I said we're going to use it at all times, so let's be true to our word. There we have some extra light. Now I want to see if I can get down low enough so we can see him without actually aggroing. See if I can't. Oh, he's coming. So these are pages. The pages use this long thrusting rapier. They have a crossbow, and they're going to shoot perfumer's bolts at us. What's interesting is that while we can get the perfumer's bolts as a drop from them, fairly common, we cannot get the crossbow. In fact, they have a unique short bow that they can drop. It's called the Red Branch Short Bow. And it is pretty much on par with the regular short bow, although it is better suited for dex users. Sorry, I'm talking while I'm just evading his attacks. And if you really max out your dex stat, you can get just a little bit more attack power out of the Red Branch Short Bow than you can the regular short bow. Now, one thing that I do want to show off is you can actually get a stance break even if you haven't the stats to wield that weapon. So you see here I was doing guard counters even though I didn't have the stats to wield this weapon because I wasn't two-handing it. One of the other really nice features though is the backstep attacks. We don't really talk about moveset all that much, but movesets can make or break your combat experience. And once you find a weapon you like, I highly encourage you to practice the jumping, the sprinting, the backstep, the rolling attacks, the charged R2, the regular R2, combos, one hand, two hand, because you might surprise yourself with just how versatile any given weapon is. What I really like about the sword spear is this backstep R1 is a really long range thrust, so usually we can get out of the way of danger and then follow it up with a poke. Let's see if I can't put that into practice. Okay, not quite. Gonna heal up there to be safe. Now be careful with the pages because they will advance just about every time they attack. So if I can bait an attack, backstep, R1, backstep, oh, just kidding. Let's try that again just for fun. It's just a really classy move. And I really want him to do that long thrust again, just because it's a fun one if you can time it right. Obviously I'm not doing that, that's all right. You know what then, let's just do a little spinning slash. There we have it, no drops from them. So with the pages you can get their armor set, which is a really great looking set. You can get the Red Branch Shortbow and Perfumer's Bolts, which fire out of a crossbow, which is what they're using even though they drop a bow. Inside this chest, we have a really unique weapon, the Winged Scythe. It requires 16 strength in order to one-hand, only 11 if you want to two-hand it, 16 dexterity, and a whopping 24 faith. That is actually why I bumped my faith up to 14, because if I use this with my Flask of Wondrous Physic and the Faith Not Crystal tier, which I do have mixed in, I forgot to show the flask, I will be able to use this weapon for 3 minutes. And it is a really fun weapon. It causes bloodlust buildup at 55, it has split physical and holy damage, and it has a unique skill called Angel's Wings. Jump and imbue the wing blade of the armament with light, and then deliver slashing attack on the enemy. So this is actually 2 separate inputs. If you only use the skill once, you will leap up into the air, you will hit enemies on the way up. If you hit it again, as you come down, you will do a wide slash covering a large area right in front of you, and any enemy hit with that skill, either the upwards or downwards motion, they will not be able to use healing through flasks for 20 seconds. So pretty fun weapon to use. I will certainly be bringing that out at some point. Right, so these runes are accomplished. Let us head to the top. We do have a teardrop scarab on some ruins just over here. There we go, as I do a complete 360. We will be going inside that Evergel here in just a little bit. Also, I got off Torrent prematurely because it's a lot easier to climb this rocky outcropping with Torrent. And let's just go ahead and take care of you. We get an Incantation Divine Fortification. We've already seen various forms of the fortifications for sale from Brother Corin at the Round Table Hold, but this is going to give you 35% increased damage negation, and it costs 20 FP and it lasts for 1.5 minutes. Now, the Evergel. We have only done one so far, despite having seen 2. We have not done the Storm Hill Evergel. That contains a very powerful boss and an item that we wouldn't be able to use right away. We did the Forlorn Hound Evergel. Of course, we did that with Blythe, and we got the Bloodhound Fang as a reward, and we got a Somber Smithing Stone level 2 as a quest reward, so very much worth it. This is another one where I dare say the Everjail is 100% worth completing for a couple of reasons. Number one, the item that you get is invaluable early game. It will raise 4 of our stats by 5, with the only downside of being 10% increased damage negation, but that increased damage that you take is completely offset in most situations, not all, but most situations by the increase to your HP because of the +5 vigor points that you get. But the other reason I say that it's worth it is because there is no risk whatsoever of dying in the Everjail, and I haven't talked about that before. Outside of every Everjail, you're going to find one of these, which is a Stake of Marika. As we've talked about before, if you die near a Stake of Marika, you can choose to either go back to your nearest site of grace or your last site of grace, which is up at the Church of Pilgrimage for us, or at the Stake of Marika. Notice that all of these stones here are completely neutral. Even if I get right up in their round one-eyed faces, they don't do anything. So if I die, I just have to run from the stake back here to get my runes. If you die in the Everjail, your runes are not locked inside. They will actually be on the outside as well. So if you try it a couple times and you don't survive, simply grab your runes here and move on, and you can just come back at another time. It does require a single stone sword key to use, and I will say that the boss inside here is not a pushover. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run in, I'm going to summon the boss, and then I'm going to die purposely, just to show you that your runes will be somewhere safe that you can access them. And here is the ancient hero of Zamor. And death can come very quickly. Simply choose a Stake of Marika. And we're at the stake just outside of the Everjail, and our runes are exactly where they were dropped on the inside of the Everjail, but we also have them here in the supposed overworld. If we decided we no longer want to fight the ancient hero of Zamor, we can simply move on and return at another time. But the thing is, we do want to fight that enemy to get the new talisman that he's going to drop. A couple of things about the ancient hero of Namor. He is weakest to fire and lightning and piercing attacks. He'll drop 5,400 runes, actually a little over 7,000 runes if you use the gold pickled Foulfoot. Hopefully I remember to do so. But he also has a second phase. After right around the 50% mark, he is going to become a lot more aggressive and a lot more dangerous. But this enemy, if you learn his moveset, he is susceptible to guard counters and being knocked down, very susceptible to incantations like Catch Flame, and he has a few moves that are very easy to parry. And we're going to try those out here first. Now, as we approach that blue glow, he's going to appear and he's going to be vulnerable for some time. I am going to be using my Flask of Wondrous Physic to boost my Faith stat to increase the power of my Catch Flame. I'm going to be dealing as much damage with Catch Flame as I can before he attacks, and then we'll begin using some melee strategies. In phase 2, he has another move where he will stop and he'll lift his hand and he will summon an ice storm around him. As soon as he begins to cast that, my intention is to use the Rancor Pot to throw at him so the skulls can directly hit him while he's actually mid-cast. During the transition from phase 1 to phase 2, you can damage him. It's completely safe to do so, but he takes significantly reduced damage. It might be better off just to rebuff your weapon or heal or do any of those other things to prepare for the next phase. But let's give this a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and dodge. Perfect. Look at that damage already. When he does this ice breath, run to the side, but also jump in order to avoid that. Now let's see if we can't get a parry. Okay, watch that little icy. There we go. Make sure I two-hand. Now he's going to probably go into phase 2 next. Now I'm not going to worry just yet about healing, although I will use some cerulean. And let's see if we can't get another parry here. Because he has one move where he does a slash attack and then jumps backwards, and then he'll come at us with this long dash attack, and when he does that, he will be open to parry for quite a large window. Okay, that's the move I want to use a Rancor Pot on. Not as much damage as I'd like, but if we can get him to do that again, perfect. Okay, here it is, and get ready to parry. Just a little bit too late on that. I would like to still show that off if possible. Now he can have some really, really nasty combos. I have found that dodging to our left, his right, is one of the safer places in order to dodge, if you decide that you want to dodge. Okay. Nope, that's not the one. Lots of big hits there. We don't want to be frostbitten. Really wanted to show the parry because it looks really fun when you actually land that. Okay, Rancor Pot. That was some very good damage. Okay, here we go, and missed it again. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's definitely heal up. You can parry most of his attacks, I'm just a little bit too afraid to do that. Okay, that AoE was bigger than I anticipated. Good damage from that catch flame though. Not too much more. Okay. I should have been ready. Oh, nope. That was not the time for a Rancor Pot. Alright, I'm out of healing. I'm not using my shield like I thought I just was. Okay, I might actually hit. Nope, he got out of the way just in time. Well, we just about have him. So let's be a little foolish. There we have it. It's not a terrible fight, but it does require some concentration, and if it takes you 2, 3, a dozen times, it's still worth it for Radagon's Scar Seal. I forgot that it kicks us out right away. Radagon's Scar Seal, an eye engraved with an Elden Rune, said to be the seal of King Consort Radagon. It raises vigor, endurance, strength, and dexterity, but also increases damage taken. But essentially what you're getting is 20 free levels for 10% extra damage, which is, as I said earlier, almost completely negated in every early game situation by the extra points to your vigor. These seals represent the lifelong duty of those chosen by the gods. And now, we can actually one-hand our sword spear, which is fantastic. Right. Now, if you're worried about healing, you do have a teardrop scarab down here that you can refill your crimson flasks on. However, there's also a church just above us that we can go and just rest at. There's a couple of enemies in the way if you go through the front door, but you can also, if you follow my example, ignore them completely and just go right through the side. The Fourth Church of Marika. I think this is something we should try and have some conversation about down in the comments below, because we have one church just north of us, which is the Church of Pilgrimage that is represented by a statue of Radagon. Now we have the Fourth Church of Marika, which is represented by, of course, Marika. And there's actually a line of these churches. We've already seen the third and fourth, but there is a second and a first Church of Marika that lead all the way from the northernmost tips of the lands between the mountaintops of the giants, and then the last one, the fourth church, being right down here by the coast. And I think that is worthy of a discussion down below. Let's grab a sacred tear, let's rest up. And I forgot to use the gold pickled foul foot, I'm just realizing. Let's use that sacred tear, get even more healing out of our flasks. Always happy to take a golden skull though. Just outside, let's take care of these Mausoleum Guardians. They can just dissipate like that, so just be prepared for that. Otherwise, they do just function just like those soldiers. So let's just do a nice guard counter. There we have it, no drops. And again, I asked you to think about why maybe they didn't have a helmet that could drop. See if you can figure it out. For some reason, completely escapes me. Now we do have a few more locations to check out, but first, let's go ahead and talk to this ghost over here. This ghost that, just like all the other ones, is surrounded, interestingly enough, by little parasol mushrooms. Oh, there it is, the tower. Finally, I can return to our home, bathed in rays of gold. That ghost is referring to the tower just up top there, which is affectionately known as the Tower of Return. We'll explore why that is in a little bit. We do have another set of ruins right here, along with the new enemy type, the Marionette Soldiers, but we also have another cave. Let's go ahead and might as well take care of these. So interesting when you do get that double knockdown. And another guard counter for you. And what did we get? Got some bolts. Hey, we actually got the Mausoleum surcoat and the gauntlets. Very nice. I actually love the look of the surcoat here. Very, very nice looking. It actually has the Mausoleum with the bell right on the front. A really, really good looking item. Unfortunately, a little bit heavy for our taste. Although it doesn't actually put me in too heavy, so we'll wear it for now. Why not? So down below here, that's where the Everjail was. That's where we got the Divine Fortification incantation. But if we drop down right here, we do have a cave directly behind us. This is the Tombsward Cave, everything named after Tombsward. Let's activate this site of grace. And we're going to be now pulling out, and I forgot to use the golden bow like I always do. I'm going to be pulling out the longbow again. There we go. Make sure I have enough firebow and arrows, and I should. And we're going to be using the manual aim of the mighty shot to take care of all of these, well, most of these upcoming enemies. Yet another new enemy type for us. This is known as a Servant of Rot. Unfortunately, as far as drops go, the only one that they have for us are toxic mushrooms, which we really have no need for right now. So what I've just done there, first I activated manual aiming with my left bumper. Then I activated Mighty Shot, which is L2. You can actually do that in reverse order. Once it's lined up, simply choose your arrow type. I'm using R2 for the fire arrows. And there we have it. No need to worry about Mighty Shot not connecting if you can manually aim it. There's a toxic mushroom, and eventually we'll be able to use those toxic mushrooms to craft poison pots, rot pots, and roped poison pots. On this corpse, we have a golden rune level 2, and let's just take out some more of these servants of rot. Go for the distance here. Even without the arrows reach talisman, we should be just fine. This area is already dangerous enough because, as you can see, I am avoiding the water, as it will inflict poison buildup on us. That guy turns. That's all he does, though. That is the wow, good dodge. That is the entirety of his concern, though, for his friend there. There we have it. Mostly clear. We do have a couple of slimes that will drop down. This place is also quite full of poison bloom, so if you want to stock up, you can certainly do that. I'm just getting my finger seal out because here is the first slime dropping in. A couple of very quick catch flame incantations, though. This way would lead us to the boss very quickly. So let's just grab a Furl Calling Finger Remedy. Now I'm going to take out... No, I'm not. I've changed my mind already. Changing things on the fly. There's another slime that's going to drop, but we can either deal with him or avoid him. I'm just going to run through. Grab that Poison Bloom. This one as well. Might as well, just so he doesn't bother us. There we have it. Absolutely love the running attack of the Catch Flame incantation. So down here, we're going to have a number of rats. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to my sword spear and my shield. I do have my drawstring fire grease, but might be doing some guard counters here. We're probably going to get poisoned. That's right, I do have the cured poison incantation lined up. There we have it. Just going to allow myself to get poisoned. Use that fire. Okay, get on land, and I'm just going to switch right over. Cure poison, very cheap to use. There we go. On this corpse, we have immunizing white cured meat. Now, I had mentioned we weren't going to be using the immunizing cured meat. It was just a placeholder, and that is for the immunizing white cured meat. So here is the fundamental difference between these two, and indeed for all the immunizing versus immunizing white cured meats. They differ in the amount of whatever status they're going to increase and the length of time. Immunizing white cured meat, which is what we just picked up, will increase your immunity by 75 for 120 seconds. Immunizing cured meat will give you 100 immunity, but only for 60 seconds. The problem with both of these items is that when you consume it, it actually builds up your poison meter for some time. So if you use one of these and then you want that meter to completely drain in order to then maximize the benefit you get out of it, the white cured meat, you will only get 105 seconds of increased immunity, and with the cured meat, you'll only get 35 seconds of increased immunity. But I am going to choose to use the immunizing white cured meat, so I still get that boosted poison resistance for the upcoming boss fight. And then we have the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook. This is going to give us poison grease and drawstring poison grease. So if we want to apply poison to our weapon, we can now do so, which means that these poison blooms are going to come in very handy. That was very interesting. Leapt completely over the rat. There we have it. Would you drop for us? Golden Rune level 3, I would imagine. Wonderful. Now, I am going to heal up. I'm not actually even going to worry about the poison just yet. We're going to get out of it first. Grab some poison bloom. Now, I do want one other item on our hotbar, which is some fire pots. Let's craft a few more of those. There we go. Now, I do have some small Miranda sprouts here that we need to deal with. We're just going to use some running R2s to deal with them. Hopefully, I'll get a twofer here. Not quite. There we go. Get out. Don't get poisoned. Miranda powder. On here, we get one arterial leaf. So over to the left, that is into the room with the big poison swamp. So we're nearly at the boss here. I do have a few more of the Servants of Rot, though, and I do like to deal with them just from a distance as much as possible. So there's that. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit. Watch it. He's going to cast some poison at us. Let that hit the wall again. Running R2. And fire pot. Wonderful. On this corpse, we get poison bone dart. This should be another toxic mushroom. And of course, we got 6 poison bone darts, not just the one. And we're ready for the boss. Also, these little parasol mushrooms, these are the same exact style mushrooms that we've been seeing around the ghosts. Anytime we speak to a ghost, we see a silhouette of that mushroom type. Certainly something here about fungi. So I am going to be putting on my Flask of Wonders Physic just for the increased health regeneration. Then I'll be using this first. Use this right now so you can have that poison meter die down. Get my catch flame at the ready. Once that's nearly done, I will use my Flask of Wonders Physic, and the name of the game is Fire. We are just going to be fighting a really large Miranda bloom, along with a few Miranda spouts around it. So let's use that. Ideally, we get in, we target the big one, and we fire pot. Drawstring fire grease. Okay, watch the magic. Okay. Spin to win. Kill these little ones if we can. Okay, there's a knockdown. Get the critical. We missed missed it because unfortunately the other one had other plans. That's alright. Get some fire. And let's see if we can just knock him down. Watch the big ol' head slam of the Miranda Blossom. And spin to win. There we have it. Didn't even get poisoned because of the increased effects from that immunizing white cured meat. And we get the Viridian Amber Medallion. This talisman, similar to the Crimson Amber Medallion, this is going to give us increased maximum stamina, 11% increased maximum stamina, which isn't too bad. Except we also have Radigan Scar Seal, so kind of hard to turn that down. But there we go. Tombsward Cave complete. Let's head back to the beginning. And I actually... And let's go ahead and get our lantern back on, just because I said I want to run that most of the time. Just below here, there are a trio of Trina's Lilies, as well as a Caden Warrior and a couple of dogs. So we'll take them out. Just drop down here. Here are the Trina's Lilies. And I will just do this from horseback. Okay, completely missed that with my charge R2. Let's try this again, because I love the way it just launches into the air. There we have it. What'd you drop for us? Okay, got the trousers. Very nice. Would have liked to have gotten the dismounter. And I think it's time that we dealt with this wandering mausoleum. One thing to note, if you do want to farm anything that these mausoleum guardians have to offer, do so now. The ones up by the Fourth Church of Marika, the ones that are just standing outside guard, they will continue to respawn. Once you bring this down, however, all the ones out here in the field, they will disappear for good, and you'll have to farm them elsewhere. You also don't get any runes or any items when they disappear. They don't actually die, they just sort of disappear. But we got this note from the nomadic merchant down below. To stop the mausoleum stride, you'll need to clean up around its feet first. And as you see, around the feet, we've taken a look at these already. They look like barnacles, but on closer inspection, they're actually some sort of stone skulls that are just dappling the feet all over. You need to break several of these in order for the mausoleum to stop and to give you access to it. Now you can do so with melee, just by, well, riding up to its feet or running up to the feet and just breaking them. You will always recoil off of it. But what I prefer to do is just take aim with a bow and just start breaking them. Now a short bow might be even a little better than this just because it's faster. Why I like to do this though is because that mausoleum, those feet, they can hurt. And they can come down really quickly, and they can even one-shot you if you take the full force. But let's just keep breaking these. It takes, I believe, a few over 20 in order for it to come down. Let's just get a good angle where we can see several of them. Oh, goodness gracious. And that's why. Should do so from even more of a distance than I was. Once he starts moving, though, it can be a little bit difficult to land these up. But you'll notice that he's coming down very soon here. Okay, let's get another vantage point. Shouldn't be too far off. And there we have it. Once those rocks start to crumble, he is coming down. And you can just watch. Once the smoke clears, they all just disappear. Again, without any runes, without any items. And they will not come back, not in this area at least. So what is inside these mausoleums? Well, we've already heard from the one ghost talking about the soulless demigod that's asleep inside. And inside each of these mausoleums, you're going to find the corpse of presumably one of the many demigods. And when you examine the remains, it asks you if you want to duplicate a remembrance. We haven't talked about remembrances yet because we haven't encountered any as of just now. There are certain bosses throughout the game that will give you a remembrance upon defeat. That will allow you to craft certain weapons, certain spells, incantations. And all of them have more than one item, sometimes up to 3. You can use this to duplicate 1 remembrance per mausoleum, but not every mausoleum is created equally. The mausoleums that have a bell, like the ones that we just took down, those can duplicate any remembrance that you have. If there's not a bell dangling beneath the mausoleum, then you can only duplicate non-shard bearer remembrances. We'll talk more about who is and is not a shard bearer as we encounter them. Once you have duplicated a remembrance in a mausoleum, that mausoleum is effectively no use to you any longer. Let's go ahead and put my dagger back on. There we have it. So this entire field is now essentially completely safe for us to ride in. We just have a few sheep to deal with. But we do have another set of ruins. Oh, I'll be honest, I didn't realize that that trio of Mausoleum Guardians also was still around. So today I learned something. So you actually have 5 you can still farm if you want to collect the rest of their armor. So in these ruins, and again, every ruin has a basement, we have this new enemy type, the marionettes. There's actually another enemy type that's going to spawn when we get closer to that wall just over there. We'll talk about that when we see them. These are marionettes. Marionettes can be incredibly dangerous because they seem to have some sort of berserk mode. Once they've taken some damage, or sometimes even without taking damage, they will just go into a frenzy state where they will attack without fail until they finally collapse, giving you an opportunity to attack in earnest. You can get their armor set, which is pretty interesting, even from a lore perspective, because it talks about how these marionettes were crafted in order to serve the sorcerers. It's going to be even more interesting when you see what's in the basement here. But they can also drop cuckoo glintstones, which is a magic consumable that you can use to cast magic at enemies. But also these ones right here that have spears, they will drop a unique spear called the Spite Spear, which does inflict bleed buildup. But what we need to do, try and take them out pretty carefully without going too far in. We don't want to deal with the other enemy that's going to spawn just yet. Also, this is another poison swamp. And as you can see, Torrent does not get poisoned. All right, let's charge up my charge attack. And it looks like the other enemy has already spawned. And we're being attacked by one of the marionette archers. So let's loop around the back. Okay, let's get another charge going. Deal with the archer next. There we go, and there is the enemy casting his magic bolts up into the sky, coming down nice and slowly. That is known as a school of graven mages. Essentially, just a conglomeration of sorcerer heads that are going to cast magic at you. There's a few varieties that we'll encounter. They don't drop anything other than runes, so they actually can be quite the pain to kill. But before we go and take them out, let's take care of the rest of these. Now, I don't want to deal with all of them, so I tell you what, let's get something that we can throw at them. Even just bone darts work for me. Tell you what, let's use magic. Why not? That could be fun. There we go. Actually, did some pretty good damage there. Alright, it looks like we got 2 out of the 3. Just kidding, we got 1 out of the 3. There we have it, no drops at all. That is a bit of a shame. So with the School of Graven Mages, best idea is to get them to attack, wait till those bolts all fall. They don't actually go too far. Then as soon as they've all landed, just go in with a number of attacks and then get out. It's a very simple enemy to take care of. It's just an enemy that can be a bit of a pain to take care of. And I think I'll just risk it. Final hit, there we go, now back up. So with him dead, the basement is now open. However, there was one item that we missed. Just over here. There we go, great dragonfly head. I do like to sometimes farm for that spiked spear. It's a really fun little spear to use. But down inside the basement, first off, over on the right hand side, one of my favorite sorceries, even though most people absolutely hate it, the ambush shard. One of the night sorceries of Sellia Town of Sorcery. The Sellian sorcerers were assassins, and it is said that they often hunted their fellows. Launches a projectile from a distance removed from the caster so as to strike the enemy from behind, and it can be cast repeatedly. This doesn't cast directly from your catalyst. In fact, it goes behind the enemy in order to, as its name implies, ambush them. It's not very powerful, but it's a lot of fun to use, and the enemy doesn't dodge it, which is even more important. It only costs 13 FP to cast. It does require 23 intelligence, however, to use. That's not really the most interesting thing about this basement.
It will do no good, I swear it. And yet you persist. You frothing degenerates!
And here we have Selen, the real Selen. For some reason, Selen has been locked away down in this basement with some sort of dagger in each of her wrists and some crystals holding her to the wall. Now, a couple of things here. If we go back to the other Selen that we've already met, we don't have any dialogue option right now to mention that we've actually found her real body here in the Witchbane Ruins. Also, if you attack and aggro this Selen, she will fight back. Even though that she is pinned against the wall, she can summon Carrion Phalanx, which is a sorcery that causes swords to appear above her head and then home in on you, dealing a lot of damage if you get hit by all of them. And if you kill her, she will disappear, but so will the first Selen that we met. And you will no longer be able to interact with her for the remainder of the game. So for now, we'll just have to come back another time. That's it for the Witchbane Ruins. Not too much more to see. What I do want to accomplish, though, is I'm going to actually change over to the Winged Scythe. As I said, I do need more faith in order to use it, but I just want to show it off just because it's a really fun skill. Let's grab this golden skull. Now, over behind one of these pillars, we do have a single Trina's Lily. On the beach here, we have lots and lots of putrid corpses. And I'm going to talk for a moment about why I think this is. As we go along this beach, take a look at the debris all along it, but also out in the distance, you can actually see some shipwrecks. We know from a few item descriptions that the Tarnished were forced to leave the lands between, and they did so by boat. In fact, the rusted anchor that we got at the end of the Morn Tunnel from the Scaly Mist we got and talks about how there was one boat remaining. Well, I believe that this is the beach that the Tarnished actually left from. By the way, lots and lots of Guillemot here if you want to farm for some four-toed foul feet. Now, I think it could be interesting if the DLC, the Shadow of the Erdtree, didn't actually occur at Miquella's Cocoon, but rather somewhere from the beach. Maybe the one boat that is still remaining, according to that rusted anchor, will reappear for us, and we'll be able to take it to wherever the DLC takes place. So way over here by the Land Octopus, we get a Golden Rune level 2. As I said, lots and lots of Guillemot. I will probably farm for them off camera. You can easily do so just with bone darts. Actually, I might as well show that off. Pretty useful. Okay, only got the one, but right away. Easy kill. And we are going to be showing off the Angel's Wings on these putrid corpses. There's no reason to farm them, none whatsoever. They really don't drop anything of any value, but it is fun to attack a big group of enemies with this item. Golden Rune level 1, we do have one more shiny out here. all this debris. Golden Rune level 5. Now, let us hop off. Flask of Wondrous Physic, which will allow us to use Angel's Wings. And let's take a look at it in action. So, like I said, you can do either just the one attack, which is just to go up, and I'll show that now without a follow-up. For those grab attacks, you can mash to get out a little bit faster. There we go. Not a great farm. I really did just want to show this off for fun. But let's just get out of here. Really, really fun weapon. So in terms of areas in the Weeping Peninsula, we don't have a whole lot left. We do have a couple of small areas before we wrap up today's episode, but after this, the only thing left really to do in the Weeping Peninsula is to take on Morn Castle. Now let's keep pushing forward though. We do have a sarcophagus field coming up where we can get a lot of hard runes, surrounded by, as usual, a wolf pack. And then we do have a pool with some golden fireflies up by the Tower of Return, and then we have the tower itself, and then we'll be done with the majority of Weeping Peninsula. I'd rather not deal with the man beast if I can help it. Let's just try and do some quick rune collecting. Golden Rune 1, 3. Another one. This is not a high rune area, unfortunately. There's a 2. There's a 1. And there's another 1. So the wolf pack right back there. Still have my flask at the ready, so I can still use that. I'm actually going to leave the rest of the wolves alone just for sake of time. We're going to move on. Let's get our FP back. I am actually going to be switching to the Lord Sorn's Greatsword here in just a moment. What we want to do though is hop around here. There's going to be some foot soldiers and some regular Godric soldiers coming up. But if we can avoid them just for now, because we don't want to fight all of them. We do have some that are on the top of those ruins. We will circle back around for all of them here in just a bit. But first, we're going to be heading towards the Minor Erd Tree again, just to take a look at this little pool with the land octopus, and you know, let's take care of you nice and quick like. And get the critical. Running up here soon. That was a nice quick kill. And kill all these small ones before my flask runs out. And it looks like it's just run out. Okay, so we need to, in combat, switch back. We'll just go to the sword spear for now. I was hoping to avoid them. But not too bad. So we just have the one more small octopus, and of course we have some great dragonflies, but we don't need to worry about them. But inside here we have 11 golden fireflies, and these do respawn. So really, really helpful early game for picking up the ingredients necessary for the gold pickle foulfoot, getting that extra rune acquisition. Land octopus over, and over here in this little invisible area, this little glowing area, you do have a teardrop scarab. Why it's invisible, I don't know, but if you are in need for flasks, there you have it. Now we're gonna hop on Torrent. We're gonna start making our way kind of close to the tower. We do need to take a small shortcut down here by the cliffs. We got some more guillemots up there. We also have some more man beasts. Take care of you with a couple of R1s, knock you down with a bone dart. My favorite tactic against them. And over here, in this corpse on the chair, for some reason we have some mushrooms. Sure, why not? And we have a lot of screaming because there are some crucifixes just up above, along with a few foot soldiers. So let's just ride in there. We're gonna go in, preferably when that little caravan walks away. That delayed attack always gets me. Okay, got some drops there, but also we get 3 more Great Dragonfly heads. We got Bolt and Chain Drake Tabard. Now I am going to go back and just clear all the enemies down here. We do have that one large captain soldier that we want to deal with. We don't want to deal with it with a lot of other enemies. And I did say I was going to be switching over to the Lord Sword and Great Sword. Now is as good a time as any. And I'm doing so for a specific reason. I think you'll see why that is in a bit. Take care of you. And unfortunately that was enough to have him call the entire cavalry. That's right, we still have Impaling Thrust, which is extremely useful. And actually it looks like he must be the boy you cried wolf, because no one cared about that bugle he just rang. Of course, now they care. How are you all not seeing me? That's interesting. Okay. Back up. There was the backstep R1 of the Lord Sword and Greatsword. Very nice. There's one more enemy on top of these ruins. We will take him out. Just be careful of the ballista that's up on the tower. Once he sees us, he is going to be able to take pot shots at us. And okay, that actually works for me. I do want to get that drop, whatever it might be. There we go. Oh, good. Smoldering Butterfly. Hey, why not? We'll take it. Now what I want to do is actually assault the tower before we take on this caravan, unless they're on their way over, which I guess they are. Pardon me, I'm trying to do some commentary here. Well, let's pull him our way. And just like mounted warriors that we fought many, many times before, we're going to focus on the horse, and then we'll take care of the rider once he falls down. He's going to cast Golden Vow. Just continue to assault, hop off, and get the stab. Perfect. Let's just back up a little bit. Unfortunate timing for you. What do we get on the captain? Oh, we got the Gilded Great Shield. It's a really fun little weapon to get. Great Shields are extremely useful if you can wield them. And you know what, just because we're here, can I get both? Yes, but are you gonna fall? You're gonna fall. Are you worth it? You're not worth it. I should go get it. I did spend the time to go get it after all, or to kill it after all. Now we just have a few more foot soldiers before we actually climb the Tower of Return. You don't see me? You guys must have really bad vision plans, because you just don't see very much. All right, now we can start climbing. All the way up to the top. Just the one more enemy up top, and then there's an interesting chest we'll examine, and we'll be just about ready to wrap up. And again, just wait for him to release and take out his weapon, get the free backstab. And what kind of goodies await for us at the Tower of Return? Welcome to Leyndell, the royal capital, right at the base of the Erd Tree. You can take a look at some really interesting landmarks here. Careful not to jump off. You have the Leyndell Coliseum, along with a couple of duelists patrolling outside. Of course, the Erd Tree with a conspicuous door hewn into it. You have an extremely large and impressive dragon. We've already heard a little bit about the War of the Dragons against the capital. Lots and lots of places to explore, lots of enemies patrolling, a very, very large elevator shaft that we cannot activate from this side. Try as we might. Doesn't even give us the option. We do have a Site of Grace, thankfully, because as we have been trapped before, we need to rest at a Site of Grace before it will let us travel away. So let's rest up here. And we also have another sentinel. This is a halberd-wielding sentinel. He does not respawn. We are going to be doing just like we've done a couple times in the past. Running up to the ankles, charging up some R2s. If we hit him directly, 2 will bring him down, and then we're going to go for the critical at the glowing spot on his chest. That's why I've switched to the Lordsworn's Greatsword for the increased critical damage. So let's just run straight up, focus on the ankles. It's coming down. Make sure you go to the correct side. You can usually get at least 1 attack off before you get the critical. Now you may notice that this sentinel is in full health. Indeed he is. So it's going to take us a little bit more to take him out, but fortunately you can almost just keep him stun locked. So we just keep rinsing and repeating. And if we just hit the 1 ankle, it should only be 2 hits to bring him down, but it looks like we're getting kind of combined damage on the 2 feet. This could be problematic. Is this going to let me get a critical? Oh, am I going to fall off? I wasn't sure what was about to happen there. I want to get pushed off here. I would like it if he fell off. That'd be pretty interesting. I don't even know if that's possible. Well, might be in a little bit of a situation. I'm going to have to reset this encounter just so he is not so close to the edge. Now he is dangerous. He can attack pretty hard. But we've nearly got him. So let's just get him to come to us a little bit. How about a little golden vow? Finally, you see it in action one time in this episode. And one more to bring him down, hopefully. There we go. Jump over his leg. And what kind of damage can we do now? Nearly got him. Now, there's really no need to even kill him. There is an item over there we want to get, but if you're quick, you can get it without even aggro. Well, not without aggroing, but without encountering the sentinel. This should do it, though. And for that long fight, we get a whopping 2,992 runes. So, if you'd like to run over to the chest and just grab what's inside, I wouldn't blame you. And it is a pretty nice reward. You get the Blessed Dew Talisman. It was once thought that the blessed sap of the Erd tree would drip from its boughs forever, but that Age of Plenty swiftly came to a close, and with time, the Erd tree became more of an object of faith. It gradually restores HP to the tune of 2 hit points per second. Not a whole lot, but if you're out in the field just exploring, having that on while you gradually regain your hit points is not a terrible idea. So we've already rested at the Site of Grace, so we can leave whenever we want. I do want to point out, however, we've already seen one of these. This took us to Garank at the Bestial Sanctum, just behind the Third Church of Marika, but this one cannot be used now. This is another waygate, and we'll have to remember this the next time we happen to be visiting Leyndell. That is it for here. Let's see how far away we are. We are way north. Let's head back to the Castle Morn Rampart. And with that, the only section we have left is this southernmost area. We do have this right here, which there is a nighttime boss that we need to take out, and then there's more castle, and Weeping Peninsula will be complete. But all that will have to wait. That is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Elden Ring. If you learned something, let me know what you learned down below, or if I missed something, or if you have a better strategy for taking out any of the bosses we took out today, please let me know that too, so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.